look at my Metro Map interface. Along with the discounts for, say, Metro cardholder or off-peak hours, I also have this radio buttons which allows me to select what age category I'm in. By default, adult is selected, which means when I select my fare, for example, let's say go from again Sprite Land to, say, Turtle Park, that's 210 rupees in my fare, and that's exactly what I see. But let's say I choose a student. Now notice here, between these three, I can only choose one, and that's why this is called a radio button. Unlike this, where I could select both of them independently, but here only one is being selected from these, and that's logical. So it's kind of like saying, okay, let's say below a certain age, adults, and then above a certain age, say senior citizen. So if I choose, say, a student, I get a 10% discount in this case. If I choose a senior citizen, I get even more discount. So, 15% discount. Now I give this discount on top of the Metro card discount. So let's just say I go back to adult. I select this, it's 210. I choose Metro card holder, that's 189. Now I say, okay, look, I'm a senior citizen. I will give you even more discount. So that's like a handsome discount being given, just the program that I've written the way I have. If I say I'm ready to travel off peak, it's going to get even deeper. But of course, if I adult does the same thing, the fare is a bit higher. So that's the idea. The whole point is we are selecting this one of these categories using a radio button. And that's what we are going to look at this video. Welcome back, my friends. We are looking to enhance the Metro Map project from the WiByte Python curriculum, available at www.wibyte.in. In this video, we will, build this radio button features. Now, one thing I want to add is that I could have given a similar option menu here to select, let's say, these categories, but I thought this is a good opportunity to learn about a new widget, which is the radio button. Now, the idea here really is quite similar to what we had done for the, let's say, the checkboxes. That was a different widget, check button widget. Now here I'm saying, okay, let me use a radio button widget with, let's say, these three possibilities. As again, we always define place and define then the functionality. So let's define a place. Here I'm using an int var again called category, and I'm setting the default value to 2. The reason is that I placed 3 radio buttons, but I link them all to same tk int var, which is called category, and I'm setting it to 2 because that is by default. So when I start this, the game starts, the adult is selected because that's reasonable, and then I place these 3 over on my window. So let's first do this. So I come to my code here, and I say, okay, look, I need 3 radio buttons. Before that, let me define, an int var here. So I just say category, let's say is tk.int var, because remember, again, I need a conduit between the radio buttons and my regular Python variable. So this is going to be an integer. I just call it tk.int var is category. And I'm going to set this category value. So by using the set statement to say 2. So this is basically saying that, look, default is 2 because 2 corresponds to an adult, and that sounds reasonable. So I'm going to say, well, look, R1 is tk dot say radio button. That allows me to get those selection boxes. And I say, well, put this on the window. Put the text to be, let's say, text is equal to say student, and here I put variable is equal to category, which is basically saying that, look, this radio button is linked with this tk variable, tk int var called category, and its value is 1, which is saying that, look, if I go and select this particular option, then make the value of this category to be equal to 1. Now obviously this is just defined. I must put this on the GUI, and I do that with the place method again because I want a precise x and y control. So I go and say x is 200 and say y is, let's say, 400. Now of course you can change this, choose to be different than this, but having done this, I'm just going to copy this, let's say 3 times, and I'm going to call this, let's say, R2 and R2 over here too. I'm going to call this R3 and R3. Now what we will change is, of course, the text, which is, let's say, in this case, adult. In fact, I just realized a mistake here. This is not test, but it should be text. So let me fix this for all of them. Since I copied, so the error just percolated. So it should be adult. The variable is category is the same because it's linked to the same variable, but the value is 2. For R3, I call it, let's say, maybe senior citizen, CNIOR, say citizen. Variable is, say, category, and again the value is going to be 3. Now I'm going to place this, let's say, for example, at 200. maybe at say 300, and then let's say at 400. Now again, these are just ornamental things. You can decide for your own program. When I look at this code, I get these three radio buttons available to me. Notice the default is adult, so that's selected by default. But if I select, say, for example, senior citizen or a student, at any point, only one of these I can select. And that's the interesting part of this. Now, having done this, we need to now use this in the discount computation. So I go back to my, let's say, calculate method where I calculate the fare. In my game, I am, in my project, I'm giving this discount in addition to the discount that is given, for example, from the Metro card holder or the off-peak hours, but you can do it differently as well. So I can say, okay, look, I'm going to, first thing first, I'm going to read what is the value here. So I need to convert this to a regular Python variable. I just call it, let's say, age cat is category, dot category dot, let's say, get. Now this get method will convert this whatever value comes from the radio button to this variable called age cat. Now having obtained this, I can write an if else statement to get me the right kind of discount. So I just say, well, let's call it, say, age related, say, discount. And the way I go about it is that I say, well, look, if age category is, let's say, equal to 1, so that is basically, say, a student. Now, if that is the case, I say, well, discount rate is, let's say, probably discount is, let's say, 10%. So I say discount is, say, 0.1 times the fare. Now notice the fare here has already accounted for the discount from the previous stages. So I'm giving a 10% discount on the resultant fare. So that's how I do it. If, let's say, my age category is, say, 2. So that is basically a student. Sorry, that's an adult. So sorry, unfortunately, no discount. So I just set DCT is equal to 0. And finally, I just say, well, look, elif, say, age cat is equal to 3, which means, say, a senior citizen. I'm going to say, well, senior citizen. In this case, I'm going to give a DCT of, let's say, 0.15 times the fare. This is reasonable. I mean, giving some incentive for, let's say, senior citizens to travel, 15% discount. And finally, having done all this, I just say, well, fare is equal to fare minus DCT. And that is all I need. One change I'm going to make is that because now we are dealing with several discounts, several decimal places, several, let's say, multiplications. I can end up with lots of decimal places. To sort of keep it all clean, I'm going to say, before I display on my screen, I'm going to round this fare to, say, 2 decimal places. And that sounds quite reasonable. When I run this piece of code, let's say I want to go from sprite land to, say, say escape character, maybe on a different line. When I calculate the fare, it gives me the adult fare, which is, well, 80 rupees plus, say, 60 plus 10, because 10 rupees are charged. But if I want to say, look, I am a senior citizen taking this journey, I'm going to give you 15% discount. The value becomes 127.5 because that's 15% discount added. If I was a student doing the same journey, well, I will get 10% discount, so 135. I'm a student. On top of that, I happen to be a Metro card holder. Now remember, Metro card used to give me 10% discount. Metro card for adult is 135, 10% discount. I am going to get more discount here because it's 10% followed by 10% once again. Same as 20% though. So 10% followed by 10%. If I'm going off peak hours, it's 10% followed by 5% followed by 10% discount. So that is going to be, let's say, 115 rupees, quite a significant discount. If I'm a Metro card holder traveling off peak and I happen to be a senior citizen, then, well, it's only 109 rupees. So that's significant. If I were to do, let's say, the full fare of all this would have been, say, 150. So that's a significant discount I'm giving my senior citizens, provided all these other conditions are met. I hope you found this useful. The important point here is only one of these are selected, and that's a nice widget. We see this very often in many, many, many situations. In general, if you think this way of learning works for you, we make activities which are realistic, which appeal to our, which help us understand the world around us. Look at the website www.wibyte.in because that is how we learn Python programming. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.